In Ottawa, I'm talking to Denis Lemelin, National President of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers, about the review that the federal government is conducting on Canada Post Services. Can you tell me what stage the review is at, Mr. Lemelin?
Now we have the government released the report, so the new minister, Rob Merrifield, released the report April 30th. So now there's no recommendation from the government in some way, so we have to wait what the government will do. But meanwhile, we can look at the report and see exactly what kind of resolution or recommendation we like, or the one we have to be really aware of, because there's 60 recommendations coming from the report of the independent panel was been put in place by the Harper government in April 2008. So 60 recommendation, it's a lot. And it's covering the issue around deregulation, the issue of financing, the issue of the universal service obligation, the issue of the modernization of the post office, and all the issue regarding the future of the post office.
Are there recommendations in the report that you actually agree with?
Oh, there's many of them. The first one is really the one around deregulation, that the panel decide to put aside. Deregulation, that's something really important, because that was really part of our fight, because we really had a good fight back campaign when they decide to have this review. We organize our members, we organize municipality, labor movement, allies in the community to really put out the fact that people want really to maintain the public and universal service. And out of that campaign, we knew that the regulation was something that maybe the panel was looking after. And we organized to show that deregulation is not the future of the post office. The hope in the market is not a solution to maintain a good service for all the citizens of the country.
What concerns you in the review, or what, in the recommendations in the review?
One aspect, one other aspect we're really interested for is the fact that they have to consult. The government want to consult around the issue, and they really put that forward. But what we are preoccupied around, it's mostly around the rural services. And that's something, because out of the 60, there's almost 10 recommendations talking about what can be the future of the post office in the rural area. Because till 93, we have what we call a moratorium on the closure on post office in rural area and some community that Canada Post has to maintain at least one office. Now they suggest a new definition of rural community, saying that a rural community would be a community with less than 10,000 people. And that's something which is really important, because rural area is part of the universal service obligation, is something really important for the population. And in some ways, looking after the moratorium and put it aside is a danger, because at the same time they want to say that Canada Post can decide to replace corporate outlet by private ones. So we are really worried about these recommendations of the panel.
Are they recommending corporate outlets in urban areas as well, or is this a rural initiative?
It's the way we see it now. It's really a rural initiative that they suggest to go. I don't know how the government will look at that, because the Harper government has a lot of support coming from rural communities, and we'll see how they will face that issue.
Now, you've just met with the new Minister for Canada Post, and I believe he's a farmer from a rural area himself. What are his views here?
I think the Minister, I think, has a good attitude around it, saying, okay, it's really a substantial report. It's a report with a lot of page, a lot of recommendation. I think his view on it is he wants to take his time to look at the different aspects before coming with recommendation. We don't know when we'll come with recommendation, but it seems that, and it's one of the suggestions of the panel, that they have to review everything, and they have to consult with the people involved, with the group, with the stakeholders around that issue. And we think it's a good way to look at this report, to take time to analyze, to meet with people, because there's a recommendation in the report around the universal service obligation that's saying that they must develop what they call a service charter. And that's something interesting because in this service charter, we will have like a definition of what is the service to the population and how the Canada Post will deliver mail in a different part of the country, and at the same time will really involve the government and the population in a debate around the future. So that's need time. You cannot decide overnight that you want to have a service charter without having consultation with different groups. And that's the meeting we had with the minister, and we feel that it's important that this consultation process continue in the upcoming weeks and months.
I get the impression that the pressure that the postal workers and other advocates have brought on the government to keep postal services public, to not mess with the post office, have had some fruit, have borne some fruit.
Absolutely, because we were really afraid from deregulation, and I think with the support, because we have more than 600 municipalities who made report, we had more than 100 organizations who made report asking that the public service stay public. So and we have our member involved too. So we really want to thank all the communities and the groups and the population who really said to the government that we want to keep the postal service, because we had a survey during the electoral campaign that shows that 70% of the population support the universal and public services. So we did a great campaign. We had the support of the population, and we thank them. But we have to stay vigilant, because all this thing is our moving target, and sometimes it's changing really fast. So we have to be aware and continue to really fight to maintain a vision about the public service.
I find it interesting that the Harper government, which generally is a strong supporter of privatization, has taken such a mild position on this. And again, that speaks to the success of your campaign. Can you tell me just a little bit more about the campaign, what some of the elements were and what worked best for you?
Okay, so what really worked best, when we had this announcement that they will have the review, we really tried to have public forum. We didn't succeed in that, but we met with the panel. But the most important thing, when we asked the panel if deregulation is something you will look for, and they said yes. At the moment, we knew that we had to focus around this idea on deregulation. And what we did is really we went out and meet with the groups. We meet with workers. We send letter to all the municipalities. We organize our own activity with our member. We have a card going out. We have a billboard outside to try to really focus on the minister. So all the members of the union has been involved and went to meet with people, with MPs. We met with all MPs. We met with the Bloc Québécois, the NDP, all the Liberals. We tried to meet with some MPs for the upper government to really show that the service is something really important, to make that really an issue, a social issue, but a political issue at the same time.
Well, it sounds like it was a successful campaign then.
Yeah, it was really a successful campaign until now. And now we have to wait to see how the upper government will deal with the issue, and we'll see how to address. But we have all the time to stay vigilant around the future of the post office.